Heroes here, live and uncensored. Well, that's quite an intro we've given you there.
Yeah, no, I appreciate
you
that.
You better live up to it.
I mean, I look at that old tape and suddenly I hit puberty, right? I mean, like, that's...
We both look so young.
Oh, my God.
Please nuke Hoscord. Thank you for the 10 gifted subs. I will not be nuking Hoscord. I will be running the top of the hour ad break, however, which nukes all of the unsubscribed. If you don't want to be nuked, and by nuke I mean see a 3-minute ad break, all you need to do is subscribe for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime. By connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, you get 1 free Prime subscription a month. Or you can get gifted a sub by the likes of Please Nuke Hoscord. Here's a 3-minute ad break now.
Ago.
Right.
10 years ago.
And it was interesting because I was at the time, getting very angry about a series of mass shootings in America with a British sensibility and saying, obviously my country, we don't really have any guns. And I was, hectoring and lecturing, I guess, Americans about their gun laws. And it went down as badly as that phrase would suggest, particularly with you. But what was interesting was when you came on, I thought, who's this snotty little kid who's going to start trying to take me on? And then it rapidly became clear to me you were a hell of a lot smarter than you appeared. So we've moved on from then. Anyway, we've had our kiss and make up interview after that. But I think what was really interesting to me, 2016, so 7 years ago now, you tweeted a tweet. This is your pinned tweet to this date. Simply said, facts don't care about your feelings. And if any phrase, I think, perfectly epitomizes this woke era that we have somehow stumbled into, it's that. Because the woke brigade put feelings before facts. How do we get there?
Well, I mean, culturally speaking, I think that what happened is that the value of subjective authenticity became the core to pretty much everybody. So the idea of individualism was taken to its logical extreme, which was, I'm so important and everything I feel is so important that I can ignore the rest of reality. And in fact, reality is an imposition on me. Institutions, rules, roles, the rules of the road, all that sort of stuff, it's an imposition on who I truly am. And in order for me to be actually free, I have to speak my truth. Now, as I've said and you've said, there's no such thing as my truth, right? There's your opinion and then there's the truth. But as soon as you start speaking in terms of my truth, as soon as you start saying, well, there's how I feel about the world and how I feel about the world is the core of me, what that also does is it means that other people are aggressing on you when they disagree with you. Because obviously a shared reality means that we can disagree about things out here, but, we sort of as human beings are intact. But the moment that you start to identify your truth with the truth, then anybody attacking your truth is attacking you as a human being. And I think that that's where we've gone, is this movement away from, we're having a political debate, but again, we can go out and have a drink afterward because we are not the political debate. The political debate's a different thing. To my politics are who I am, or my feelings about who I am, or my feelings about the world. That's the thing that matters more than anything else.
And what's extraordinary, I mean, I remember this, we're going to come to them later, sadly, but Meghan and Harry, when they went on Oprah Winfrey.
The issue is that, Ben's quote-unquote truth unironically revolves around, harming marginalized communities further. By, one, denying systematic oppression and its existence, and two, asking for more of it from the government. So, it's not about, the truth. I mean, if you want to talk about the truth that Ben denies regularly, it's systemic racism. It's the truth that systemic racism exists. Ben denies it all the fucking time. He does. He tries to reduce it down to individual actions. Oh, there's no such thing as systemic racism. It's only just individuals that are racist. That's not the case. Yeah, this motherfucker actively says that God cannot make bad laws and proceeds to justify God's truth. Yeah. Not to be too much of a Reddit atheist, but the facts don't care about your feelings guy using his made-up religion to justify all those dumbass beliefs is truly astounding. Exactly. No, it is true that is a silly way to go about things, but it's at the heart of his fucking arguments for abortion, for example, even though his own religion believes that abortions are allowed.
And she started talking constantly about my truth, and Oprah was endorsing your truth and everything. I was thinking, I'm living in a sort of mad world where truth is no longer factual. It's just whatever you're feeling in any given moment. It seems
That's
such
not
a
the case,
perverse
dude.
thing.
Oh my God, dude. I'm sorry, but like conservative motherfuckers love crying about their feelings more than literally any number of like gender critical taking college freshmen, okay? It's literally all of their feelings all the time, non-fucking stop. They never shut the fuck up. They're currently doing it. They're crying about their feelings about the rest of the world not coming to terms with their understanding of the truth. That's literally you crying about your fucking feelings. I mean, he's right. No, he's not. He's not even remotely right.
Thing for a democratic society, that you move away from fact-based, from science, whatever it may be, to just feel.
Like, nobody wants to move away from fact-based shit. They just made that up. He is 100% right. Ben is so good. Love him. That's a lie. True. Like, who? Who wants to move away from a fact-based society? You think it's the fucking guys that talk about climate change? Okay? A scientific consensus that 99% of scientists believe? Or the fucking dudes that are like, no, it's actually fake because I'm being paid by the oil lobby? Who's trying to move away from scientific truth? The people that believe in evolution or the people that think that it was Adam and Eve? Who? Who's advocating for moving away from a science-based society? Shut the fuck up! It's mind-boggling to me that these guys have dominated the space so aggressively with their full court press that, like, while they simultaneously destroy books and remove them from public libraries and shit, they make it seem like it's the libtards that want censorship. Ben Shapiro, advocating for anti-BDS laws, has the audacity to fucking claim that he's a free speech defender. That's wild. And so many suckers are duped into believing it as well. I trust Ben over... No, don't ban him. He said I'm overly emotional. He trusts Ben over overly emotional people like myself. No, he had a really good take. I think we're going to have fun with that chatter. I'm going to unban that chatter because actual dumbass. Because emotional men are blind and cannot see the truth. Oh, totally, dude. Totally. I'm an overly emotional man. Ben Shapiro, on the other hand, is not emotional at all. Ben Shapiro cries every fucking episode about trans people existing in society and how that's destroying and eviscerating the fucking West. And moral degeneracy is actually destroying the West. You just agree with him, you fucking idiot. It's not that he is not emotional. It's just that you agree with him. So you don't recognize it when he brings up issues that are complete fucking fabrications. That's it. That's the problem. Based, he doesn't scream and cry like you. Yes, he does. And also, you're once again showing that you are nothing more than an animal, okay? Are you an animal? Do you have no capacity of understanding the words that are coming out of my mouth? You only can look at shapes and colors, and like the visceral reaction that you have is all that matters? You fucking dingus. You donkey. That's just a self-report that you're a stupid person, that you, unlike most human beings, cannot comprehend anything when you hear someone speak in ways that you don't want to hear them. You're like, oh, well, you're being a little emotional about, like, I don't know, trans people being fucking legislated away from existence. Like, yeah, that's okay. I guess that undermines my point then. No, it doesn't. You, unfortunately, are too stupid. And you're admitting that you're stupid. You're doing the thing that conservatives do all the time. Vice signaling. Okay? You're signaling about your vices. And not only that, but you're also signaling that you're a fucking stupid person. Why are you so mad, bro? Chill. They just have a different opinion. I love the secondary take that immediately comes into play here. Why are you so mad, bro? This is not just a different opinion. Okay? I'm not just talking about a difference in opinion here. I'm yelling at a chatter for thinking that it is a virtue to be a donkey, okay? It is not a virtue to be a stupid person. Yeah, you say a whole bunch of nothing. You say a whole bunch of stuff that has no meaning behind it. No, I say a lot of things that have meaning behind them. You're too stupid to understand it, unfortunately. So I urge you, okay? So I urge you, please just take a deep breath, okay? Take a deep breath. You're with us. You are blind and cannot see. Okay, just stop writing shit in the chat and just take a deep breath and listen to the words. And maybe then, instead of spitting out reactions like a fucking chatbot, you might be able to comprehend some of the things, at least some of the things, not all of them, but at least some of the things that I'm bringing up. And for the record, you can reban me if you get too emotional, brother. Aww. Aw, the classic, did I trigger you take? No, you didn't. Okay? You did not. We'll let you live. We'll let you live because you are an absolute fucking dumbass. And you haven't really, you haven't really said anything too spicy yet. This is an unfortunate problem with a lot of people who fancy themselves to be edgelords. The reality is that, like, they'll go, are you triggered, libtard? Meanwhile, they're fucking triggered about the existence of miscegenation. You know what I mean? Like, you are scared that society is changing at a pace that you cannot comprehend because, unfortunately, you're too backwards to just let it happen. Okay? Now that you've said that, they're going to think of the most bannable thing to try and own you. I mean, if they say something bannable, I'll ban them.
Feelings dominating a culture. And if you defy those feelings, you are instantly branded the enemy and you must be destroyed.
Well, there's no conversation to be had, right? I can't have a conversation about your feelings. You're feeling your feelings. There's no way for me to dissuade you from
You can't deny my feelings.
Correct. I can't deny. I can deny the facts that you bring to the table. But the problem is once that becomes irrelevant, then we're just at an impasse. There's no more conversation to be had.
How big a problem is it that at the same time, simultaneously, I think, you've had the rise of very populist leaders like Donald Trump, Boris Johnson in the UK, and others who play pretty fast and loose with the truth. That you have people who say, well, hang on, you talk about the sanctity of truth, but you've got these political leaders, US presidents, British prime ministers, where they don't seem to care about the truth. They just bumble through with whatever suits them from day to day. How dangerous is that to the whole shebang?
I mean, I think that is dangerous, but it's dangerous in a different way. And it's also dangerous in a more consistent and, I would say, historically precedented way. I mean, the fact is that politicians have always fibbed to us. I mean, there's nothing new about politicians saying things that are not true, from LBJ to George W. Bush to Donald Trump and Barack Obama. I mean, like literally every politician.
And Joe Biden. I mean,
yeah, to President Biden. Yeah. Right? You see this all the time. So the idea of a politician not telling the truth or shading the truth in particular ways, that's not what's new. I think what's new is where people are presented with data and their immediate response isn't, let me bring you some data that rebuts that data, but I don't even have to look at your data because your motivation is bad.
That's not true. Ben Shapiro is once again arguing against the complete fabrication. He's arguing against something that's made up, which is ironic because, like, his side has Donald Trump, who, like, doesn't even try to fucking massage the numbers. Ben is, like, a product of a bygone era of old school neocon conservatism that at least tries to, like, justify the American Enterprise Institute type conservatism, the Heritage Foundation type conservatism that tries to, like, find data or massage numbers enough or cherry pick enough to make it seem like there's actual data on his side. But, like, that's not the case. That era of conservative politician died out regardless. And no, as far as, like, science having a fucking bias or a slant, yeah, it's on the side of it's certainly closer to liberals and the things that they talk about. So, I myself am not a liberal, but even I recognize that. Ben Shapiro loves your Piker. Thank you for the 5 get the subs.
This philosophy.
How dangerous is it, though, that we've also become incredibly tribal? I think more than I can ever remember in modern history, actually. When I read your Twitter feed, I think you're always prepared to call out your own side if you genuinely feel there's been some egregious wrongdoing that they've done or a terrible mistake or whatever. But the number of people prepared to do that now, on social media in particular, is minuscule. Most people park themselves into their tribe, whatever that tribe may be, and there is no moving them. There's no deviation.
Yeah, I mean, it's two guys that agree with one another talking about how, like, the other side is just like they're unmoving, they're unshakable. It's just like, bitch, what about you? You're doing it right now.
And if the facts change, and again, it plays into, well, if your feelings are the facts, then if you feel that fact is wrong, well, that's enough.
Right. But the tribalism that I think has cropped up is rooted in a philosophy called emotivism, which is the idea that everybody's actual viewpoints are not driven by their view of the facts. It's driven by their internal emotions. What that allows me to do, on the converse, is attribute malicious intent to people that I'm arguing with. And it means that I get to ignore all of their facts. The reason that I'm disagreeing with you is because I'm good and you're a bad person. And
dude, I'm sorry, but like, I can't. This is so 2016 era, like I said. Like, this is pre-Trump, okay? It's pre-Trump. Who the fuck is even claiming that they have facts on their side at this point? You know what I mean? Like, Republicans don't give a fuck about that. They give a fuck about power. This would be interesting React content in 2018. Yeah, when a younger Hasan would be like, that's not true. The facts are never on your side, Mr. Ben Shapiro. The facts are actually on the side of liberals. There's a reality that has a liberal bias, okay? Facts don't care about your feelings, sir.
what that means is that people on my own side, for example, they might be upset with me for talking with people on the other side of the aisle, because why would you talk to somebody who's a nasty person, who has bad motivations? And the same thing on people on the other side talking to me. I was having a conversation one time with a very, very large left-wing podcaster. This is probably 2018. And I said, we should really do like a crossover podcast for the midterm elections. We'll do huge business. And my side will be totally fine with it. It'll be great. And he said, your side will be fine with it. My side will kill me.
Right.
And that's probably
But that's
right.
the way it's gone. And Bill Maher said to me, that comedy used to be rooted really in right-wing extremism being comedic. And that was where liberal comics like him could get their material. Now he said it's mainly to the left. It's the woke.
This is that's another fucking old, out-of-touch asshole. No, right-wing extremism is still fucking hilarious. Definitely. Like, it's still certainly hilarious. Are there rad libs that also fucking lose their minds in ways that are vicious and also hilarious? Certainly, I make fun of them too. But this notion that it's like most comedies coming from the blue-haired liberals, blue-haired Marxists or whatever, like, no, that's silly as fuck.
Area of politics that gives him the most comedic material. And he can't believe it. As a liberal himself, he feels just really frustrated that they don't understand how ridiculous and laughable their positions on things have become.
But it's driving a bunch of people who consider themselves center or center-left into the arms of people who are more conservative, actually. I've made the point before that I think the future of the West may ride not...
Yeah, what will the progressive movement do now that they lost Bill Maher? Oh, that's awesome.
On people who agree with me most of the time, conservatives, traditionalists. I think the future of the West might ride on people who consider themselves kind of traditional liberals, who may agree with some of the left's prescriptions economically, but who disagree with the way they want to get there, which is very often by silencing debate, using censorship, shutting things down. So the question is going to be, are they willing to put off utopia for a while in order to engage in the debate?
Because I've always thought, like myself, I've always thought myself not really as a political ideologue, right? I think I'm pretty centrist and call out everybody, really. I see myself as a journalist, fundamentally, and don't think that being partisan helps that particular profession very much, as we've seen from those who've actually drifted down into being partisan as journalists. It doesn't work. You become an activist.
No, centrism is not being devoid of ideology. Centrism is just literally whatever the ideology is. And acting like neoliberalism, which is the dominant ideology, is not a thing. It is just a way of existence. Okay? There is no such thing It's stupid. It just means you're advocating for the status quo, which, by the way, ironically, is what everyone is advocating for the most part. People take the current way of existence for granted. They don't even think about it as though like it's bad or wrong. People that are like openly on the right want to pull it more to the right, okay? People on the left want to pull it more to the left. The idea that like centrism is a real viable thing is just, it's not. It's just exactly. Centrism is just deferring to the hegemony. Exactly. Hegemony.
I was saying the other day, are you a conservative? I said, well, I'd never identified as a conservative. But the farther lunatic that the left woke go, the more the pendulum swings. And eventually we all get sucked into thinking, well, OK, actually, by comparison to this, I probably am getting a bit conservative because I think they're lunatics.
I think what's happening right now, and it's happening in a bunch of countries, is people are just craving any sense of normality.
And common sense.
And no one is providing it to them.
Right.
No one is providing it to them. They're taking a slap at the people who are...
Yeah, dude, you certainly are providing normality. Mister, there is no such thing as a fucking non-living wage. Yeah. Yeah, I always go to Ben Shapiro to understand what is really going on when he tells me that, like, the average American that's suffering from fucking medical bills or whatever kind of, like, unnecessary amount of, cost of living increases, all of that is actually bullshit because Ben Shapiro told me so, and I'm just not working hard. I should be working harder, Sigma Grindset style, and that's when I get my sense of normality from Ben.
Responsible for the status quo as licensed to now do whatever they want. And so you're seeing the pendulum swinging wildly side to side because if you're a political leader, you're trying to harness the passions of the moment to get done the thing that you really, really want to get done, when in reality, the population just wants things to kind of just stop. Just like leave us alone and stop. He's
reterming the fact that the reactionary politics is born from the left insulting their idea of what's normal. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Ben Shapiro constantly shits on what could be possible, right? Like a better future. That's how he makes his living, while simultaneously upholding inequality as the norm. And in many such cases, inequality is the norm. And a lot of people are conditioned to think that it is the norm. So, of course, that's the reason why he can get away with saying this is common sense, of course. Well, not.
Right, I totally agree. And I think that's the majority of people. Right. I mean.
By the way, the best argument against that is the appeal to nature fallacy. Mr. Logic and Facts, just like every other fucking debate lord, regularly utilizes logical fallacies. The idea that there is like human nature, and that we need to appeal to it, we need to abide by it, is, in my opinion, unnatural. The entire existence of humanity is by destroying nature. Like, there is no fucking skyscrapers in human nature. We built those things. Okay. There's no such thing. There's no part of our lives is normal in comparison to the rest of nature. Not natural. It's not normal.
Today, Rolling Stone published an opinion piece on why cancel culture is good for democracy. And I read this piece and it was so completely deluded because
and then they find like some fucking random person that wrote something and then talk about it as though that's like definitely as though that is definitely just what every liberal thinks. No one likes cancel culture. It's not a thing. And the right weaponizes cancel culture regularly. Okay? The right loves using cancel culture. Lamau, facts, literally a Rolling Stone op-ed. Yeah. Every now and then someone writes an article about cancel culture or whatever, and then they go, oh, that's it. That's how everyone is. Technically, everybody loves cancel culture. Okay? And everybody hates cancel culture when it's done to them or to their side. But don't act like this is not a thing that the right utilizes, and the right utilizes it more efficiently and more effectively too.
Of course, cancel culture is the antithesis of a democracy. It's actually the antithesis of liberalism. You can't pretend to be liberal with what that actually was intended to mean and support cancel culture.
I think the left.
Bro, talking about cancel culture, then ban someone who's not having the same point of view, Lamau. Notice how this person had to make up an example because I didn't actually ban that other guy who was chirping because he simply disagreed with my take. Banning someone in my chat is not cancel culture either, you fucking idiot. It's just housekeeping. I'm not banning you either, by the way. But remember, you are always taking advantage of the more democratic structure that we have in comparison to other communities. Okay? People love to say this is a hug box. But the real reason why I ban a bunch of people is because they like derailing the stream, like you just did. Because you are a narcissist. You want 27,000 people to pay attention to you and your dumbass point of view, which is understandable. Everybody wants that feeling every now and then. You know what I mean? But you could do it in a funny way. You could do it in a clever way. You could do it in a way that actually is productive and plays along with what we are looking at. But you couldn't do that. So instead, you went for what was easy. Okay? Bro, what is he saying? This is the guy I didn't ban, by the way. The Ben Shapiro fan that I did not ban. And even though I did not ban that guy, the other guy came in and went, dude, you're banning people that don't agree with you, Lamau. Cancel culture. Anyway.
Uses cancel culture in a very different way than most of us use cancel culture. When we talk about cancel culture, typically what we mean is you say something that they don't like on the air, and they decide to secondarily boycott your advertisers, or they go to your bosses and call for you to be fired.
Right.
And that's what we mean by cancel culture. What they mean is, well, we're allowed to disapprove of you. Well, sure, you're allowed to disapprove. Turn the channel. Right? You don't have to subscribe to Daily Wire. You don't have to watch your show. Right? But what they do with that instead is they attempt to get you kicked off the air, not by dint of lack of ratings or something, but just because they're so angry that they're going to go yell at people and bother them until you get kicked off the air. That's what cancel culture really is.
I interviewed Congressman George Santos this week, who even by the standards of fibbing politicians, I mean, it was quite startling. I'll just play the clip where he admits to being a terrible liar.
What? Oh, George Santos. Okay, that's awkward.
This guy's a serving
on those subjects.
Congress, right? He's one of the most powerful politicians in the country by default.
It's almost the apotheosis of what politics is to reach, which that's.
Okay, I don't care about them talking about George Santos.
Jewish. You have know to be not true and try to follow the best audience. It's something that
It's truth to you now that everything comes out of your mouth or that you write is fact.
I mean, it's the most important thing to me because I have to sleep at night. I mean, it's something that I try to think about as much as humanly possible is never lie to your audience. Never say to your audience a thing that you know to be not true, and try to follow the best data possible. And that does mean that you're very often having to be more nuanced than sort of the politics of the situation may allow. Because the easiest position in politics is always to take the hardest right or the hardest left position, the sort of most pure, most easily understood position, or to just play the easiest game of all, which is, again, my opponent is a bad guy. My opponent is a person who hates your guts.
When we had our dust up at CNN about gun control.
Yeah, Ben, on the other hand, he has a lot of nuance, dude. That's why he advocated to. That's why he claimed that the fucking civil rights movement was fraudulent. You know, that's why he thinks the government should not interfere in private businesses stopping black people from entering their premises, which is a very real nuanced take from Ben Shapiro. You know, that's not the furthest right-wing take he could take. Technically, he could advocate to like just straight up kill black people on sight. He doesn't do that. So I guess he's doing a nuanced position on it.
For example, I'm not going to go over all that again, but had I been very different with you, if I'd been very respectful and said, look, I'm a British guy, these aren't my laws, I'm just as horrified as you are by these massacres, and didn't talk about gun control, which I think has always been a terribly inflammatory phrase for many Americans. They don't want to be controlled. And they certainly don't want to hear a British accent telling them about how they should be more controlled. But if I'd phrased it as about gun safety, if that had always been the debate in America, how do you make it safer in a country that has 400 million firearms in circulation. Would that have been a more constructive debate, do you think?
I think it would have been a more informative debate. And the reason being, I think that clarity is very much opposed sometimes by passion. And we all get passionate about these issues. I'm not going to pretend I'm not passionate on my show, or I'm completely dispassionate in all circumstances. I'm obviously not. But, I think that would have allowed for the kind of discussion where we could have looked at data from various areas of the world. Where have regulations been effective? Where have they not been effective? What are, as I said on the show, actually, at the time, I believe, what are the risks and rewards of particular policies? That's where the good discussion area, I think, gets done.
Yeah, except you never have that. Like, everything Ben is talking about how the left is or whatever, is exactly what he does. And the only time he brings up evidence is when he's cherry picking shit to disingenuously frame an argument. Like, if he truly cared about the data, he wouldn't be advocating for the side he's advocating for. Do you agree with literally anything Ben says? Or, I mean, I don't know. Probably not. It'd be very hard. I'm sure there's something I agree as far as what Ben talks about, but as far as his political perspective, no, not really.
I mean, just final point on the gun thing, but and I'm aware many viewers who watch this in America own guns and support
I own guns,
the Second Amendment rights and so on. Where do you see the line going?
Hasn't Ben shown data before in debates? Yes. That's why I said he loves to cherry pick data. Like, what did he do the other day? We were watching a video, and he almost slipped up, and then he turned around. Like, one common trope is like using the totality or the majority instead of per capita arguments, because per capita arguments usually betray. Whenever you talk about like American statistics, people love to use totality rather than per capita because America is a very large country, is a very wealthy country. So, of course, by a lot of metrics, we spend more money than other nations, right? On a lot of shit, right? What was it? What the fuck was it that he was like talking about? Bro said your hatred blinds you. Because your hatred blinds you. I don't really hate Ben Shapiro. I think he's a fucking loser, really. Oh yeah. Yeah. He said, yeah. The rate of black arrests. Yeah, I remember. No, I think he said the rate of, or did he say a higher rate of white people are killed by cops? And then corrected himself and went, I mean a higher number. Because, he almost accidentally fucking revealed the truth when we talk about the argument about like black people being over policed. Yes, yes, police kill more white people in this country. Okay, that's true. There are more white people in this country, but police kill black people at a disproportionate rate, a much higher rate. That's the problem. And when we bring that up to talk about the disparity in policing, Ben doesn't want to even bring that up because that's a harder argument to argue against. And this is why you, my friend, are a Ben Shapiro fan. You're slowly but surely revealing your own personal biases, maybe because they are committing out-of-control crimes. Go ahead. Explain what you mean by that. Black people are committing out-of-control crimes. What does that mean? Just look around you and on the news. See, notice how you gave zero empirical evidence to follow up on anything you mentioned. You didn't even do the common racist trope. Here, I'll give it to you. 1350. Okay? Which is like a super easy one to just destroy, but you didn't even know that. Okay, I'll give you the fucking racist empirical evidence talking points for you and then argue against them if you want. But I know you don't want to see that, so you act like it doesn't exist. See, not only did you have zero evidence to back up your statement, You didn't even have an anecdote that you could point to. So you just said, no, it's happening all around you. And then you made an additional inference that, like, I also am refusing to see it happen all around me. Do you understand what this makes you seem like? This makes you seem like a fucking idiot. I don't want to think that you're an idiot, but you sound like a fucking idiot. Partially because you can't even Google fast enough to at least give me an effective counter. Bro, it's all over Twitter, everywhere. Do you just ignore it? Things that you see on social media are not evidence. Okay? If you think that this is a non-emotional argument that you're making, I don't know what to tell you. Where is the facts over feelings? All actors, I guess, then. No. That's not what I'm saying. My friend, I don't know if you know this, but our algorithms are highly personalized. It's like Benny Johnson saying, why am I getting an ad for a gay cruise on the Army website? Well, it's your cookies that is serving you that ad. Understand? The only thing you tell me is when you see a lot of black crime that's out of control that you see on your Twitter feed is that that's what you like looking at, and that's what the algorithm has decided you like looking at, so they keep showing you that over and over again. Now, if you're a dumbass, you see that and you go, wow, black crime sure seems out of control. But what you should be doing instead is going, maybe the social media algorithm is just breaking my brain and I should seek to educate myself on whether or not this is the case. Okay? That's not actors. But what you're seeing is a minor snapshot. And unless you are, I don't know, someone who has the processing power of a fucking sea cucumber, okay, you should be able to recognize that what you see is never the full picture. If you think that your own highly personalized, algorithm-backed social media feed is indicative of what's going on around the entire planet, we have some real issues. But not a single part of this shows that facts are you're using facts to override your own personal feelings. Okay? I don't think he ran away. Do you not partially blame a poor American education system for some chatters like this between these racist parents and a shite education system? I'm sure there isn't more like this. No, there are. I hope he went away to Google to come back with some good counters here.
As you have all these massacres and as gun ownership increases, there's just more guns in circulation. What do you do about that? I mean, as a country as big and powerful as America, what more can be done to just make it safer?
I mean, again, the measures that I've always suggested are measures that tend more toward the gun owner than toward the weapon itself, meaning that we obviously need better screening procedures for people who have a history of severe mental illness. We have red flag laws on the books, but they're not enacted. I mean, people don't actually practically follow the red flag laws, which is why I'm kind of skeptical of the idea that if we pass some more text from the legislature, that's magically going to translate into better action. What we need is more alacrity from the cops. I mean, how many of these mass shootings have we seen where there are 1,000 red flags and the cops go to the house and then they're
Bro, here, the argument that you're supposed to be making in this regard, if you want to talk about like black people that are doing more crime or whatever, is the common trope, the 1350 trope. According to FBI arrest records, 13% of the population, black people, are are responsible for 50% of the arrests. Now, of course, the reason for why that is over policing to begin with. So if you want to make a better argument to be a better racist in the future, you can at least come to me and say, try arguing against FBI crime statistics, libtard. Okay. And then to that, I respond, well, first of all, those are arrest numbers. They're not conviction rates. Okay. You're so bad at debating that I'm debating for you. Those are arrest numbers, not conviction numbers. An arrest does not mean conviction. Black people are over-policed on top of getting arrested for false charges way, way more frequently than fucking white people. As a matter of fact, if you look at real studies that pertain to, let's say, drug usage, for example, black people and white people use drugs, weed, let's use weed, at the exact same rate. As a matter of fact, sometimes white people use weed at a higher rate than black people, and yet black people get arrested for minor possession charges at, I think, four times higher rate than white people do. This is a consequence of over-policing black people. It's a consequence of things like stop and frisk policies. It's a consequence of racial biases in the way that policing works and operates in the system. Black people are also given longer sentences for the same kinds of crimes that white people commit. Okay? This is the problem we talk about when we talk about the systemic discrimination within the criminal justice system. Okay? They serve harsher sentences, longer sentences, they serve more time, they have less legal recourse. And this is before we even talk about the other side of systemic racism, like redlining in the Jim Crow North, racism in the Jim Crow North, or just straight up segregation in the Jim Crow South. If they didn't commit the crimes, would they do the time? You are failing to understand the words that I'm using. So there's way more white people, but white and black people use the same amount of drugs? No, at the same rate. At the same rate. At the same rate, as in, or let's say every one, like rate, meaning 10 out of every 100 black person, 10 out of every 100 white person. So if I were to say the totality, then yes, there would be more white people that are, consuming drugs than black people. That's not what we're talking about. Oh my God. Okay. Anyway, if they didn't commit the crimes, would they do the time is not an argument when we are talking about two groups of people that are doing the same crime at the same rate, and one group of people getting longer sentences and getting arrested at a higher rate. Okay? That is where disproportionate policing comes from. That's why we say black neighborhoods are occupied by police forces. Okay? They do the same time for the same crime? No, they do not. As a matter of fact, sentencing disparity is also absolutely a part of the law. The sentencing disparity between crack cocaine and just straight up cocaine existed. So even that's not true. That's not even true. You're not understanding what I'm saying to you. Okay? I hope this is an educational moment for you. Okay? That you just understood what I hope you understand what I'm saying. Okay? Anytime I'm being charitable to a chatter like this, understand that there are thousands of other people like that chatter that are also in here that want to learn, okay? They want to learn. They watch a fuckload of Ben Shapiro and think that the Ben Shapiro takes are actually true and realistic. So, of course, I'm going to address some of the things that they're saying and try to break it down and maybe even give them better arguments to make if they want to be racist, and then destroy those arguments anyway. You can't argue against law, man. I mean, that's true. Can you give me an example of a black person being sentenced longer than a white person for the same crime? You are once again looking at individual examples. Individual anecdotes is not an adequate substitute for data, okay? Of course I can give you an example of a black person's sentence being longer than a white person for the same crime, but that wouldn't mean anything because the way to disprove that, again, the way to disprove that would be to give you an example of a white person doing a longer sentence than a black person for the same crime. But that wouldn't actually prove the point, would it? Okay? You have to look at empirical evidence. You have to look at statistics to get a full scope of the picture. Okay? Young black and Latino males tend to be sentenced more severely than comparably situated white males, which means from a similar economic background. Unemployed black males tend to be sentenced more severely than comparably situated white males. This is analyzing crime and sentencing data to give you this outlook, to give you to give you this as evidence, okay? And this is from 2005. It's fucking, but doesn't that mean that black and Latino males are committing more crimes? That's why they're being sentenced more? No, chatter. Okay. I'm close to fucking losing my patience. It's the same crime. It's the same crime. They're doing the same crimes. They're not doing more. It's the same crimes that they're committing. You have to be trolling, right? Do you not understand this? I don't think this person is being obtuse purposefully. They're not understanding. They aren't even asking the right questions. If you have faith in the justice system, you are breaking up its fabric of reality right now. Yeah, as for the look around you, the news and media show more black crime than any other crime, altering perception. Absolutely. What does it mean then? It means what I've told you it means. It means that white people and black people, when factoring in their socioeconomic conditions, as in like where they are in life, okay, when factoring in the crime that they have committed, are doing the same crime but not doing the same time. Because the criminal justice system somehow, for some reason, okay, keeps giving longer sentences to black people. That somehow, some reason, is systemic racism. I'm telling you what the reason is. You're denying the existence of that reason. I'm giving you the evidence, and then you, I think, are failing to comprehend it. So who got a longer sentence than a white man? You didn't give an example of that happening. Oh my God. This is an example of that happening thousands of times. This, okay, a study is kind of like not one example, but like thousands of that example put together. Do you understand? Do you know what a study is? Do you know what that is? It's like a bunch of anecdotes that they put together and compiled so that they could get a better understanding of how systems work, because we are unfortunately very biased. Okay, And anecdotes can be clouded by bias. There's many different biases like recency bias, or maybe you see something a lot in your fucking immediate, Twitter feed, and you think that that is the case. So we look for an adequate sample size, and that's how we conduct a study. He didn't ask for thousands, he asked for one. Huh. Okay, they're just trolling at this point. Check their last message. This is like the Andrew Tate argument over and over again. Exactly, just one example. You know people make up studies, right? Exactly, just one example, please. Bro, you don't even have a study. If there's thousands, you should be able to name one easy. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay, no. He's baiting me. He's baiting me. Okay, never mind. All right, man. I tried. You look really bad right now. Brother, I know you're too stupid to understand this, but it's not me who looks really bad. But I don't think you'll ever recognize how insanely stupid you look right now. Yes, do the insult and ban thing and move on to the video. No, I'm gonna keep you going. I tried. I'm giving you a study and you said, give me one example. That's so sad. I gave you facts and you said, well, I want it to correspond to my feelings, and it doesn't correspond to my feelings. That's so fucking sad. I guess you tried. I did. I really did.
Well, no, we're not going to do anything. We're going to leave you back out there.
He said studies lie all the time, but he thinks looking at videos on his Twitter timeline is the actual facts. There's nothing you can do in that situation. There's literally nothing you can do in that situation. There's no way. There's no way. Everyone in the chat is like sending him links and all this shit. Like, no, it doesn't matter. How do you combat people just make up studies all the time? I hear that all the time because it's false. No, they don't. There's an academic process and a way to conduct this. Okay, if that was the case, there would be no science on anything. Okay. And remember, that person didn't bring up a study at all. He just said, that's what I saw on my Twitter feed, and that's what I believe. And if you think studies fucking lie all the time, then why the fuck what will convince you? Nothing. Your feelings is what has convinced you. And you will never be able to change your feelings. So, which goes back to my, it goes back to my first thing that I said, which is Ben Shapiro does not care about facts. He cares about feelings. You agree with Ben, and you think he's feeding you facts, so you get comfortable listening to him.
It's almost in every circumstance. So we actually do need law enforcement to have more ability and will to carry out, for example, when they know somebody is severely mentally disturbed or somebody is shooting a gun at their mother, which we've had a case like that. That would be a time where you actually remove the person's guns and keep track of them, make sure they can't actually get guns. Right? I mean,
see, if I had my way again, when I was doing that debating, I would have had this kind of conversation. I can look back at those and realize I was letting my own emotions override.
We all have these. I mean,
yeah, but it's interesting, isn't it? I do think an important part of how we get to a better place as society now, away from this tribalism, away from all this stuff, is you've got to be prepared to have this kind of conversation, which doesn't end up with me just looking at you and shouting, well, you're a complete idiot because you don't agree with me, right? It's more complicated. It's more nuanced. Life is more nuanced than that.
I like to think so. And I think that, again, those conversations can be really, really productive. I try to make a habit. I have my regular daily show, but I also have a show called The Sunday Special that you've been on, in which I bring on a bunch of people who disagree, from Bill Maher to Anna Kasparian. Yeah. And we actually try to talk through these issues. And
last time I came and I found it a very surprisingly pleasant experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's take a short break. I want to come back and ask you the most deadly question in the world right now. What is a woman? Welcome back to Piers.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, he's like, let's talk about transphobia.
Uncensored live from New York. Ben Shapiro is live and uncensored. So come on, then, what is a woman?
Well, I mean, a woman is whatever J.K. Rowling says a woman is. And she's right. A woman is a biological human female.
How on earth have we got to a place where stating that simple fact has now become a stick to beat people with? When, from what I can ascertain, 99% of the entire planet agrees with that fact.
Yep. Again, it goes back to that idea that your subjective feeling about yourself must be reflected by the rest of the world, cheered and celebrated by the rest of the world, because that's actually what the ask is, right? The ask isn't even, I wish to be treated well in society, and you can think whatever you want of me, but you should treat me decently. That's not the actual ask. The actual ask is, I wish for you to participate in a delusion whereby I am a biological human female, or exactly the same in many important respects as a biological human female. Trans women are women, which, again, if you refuse to define what...
You've warned about this, and I've warned about it, and we've taken it to... We've said in the warnings...
It doesn't seem like he's describing what a woman is, though. It's so funny. They never do. They're like, a woman is a woman, a biological female. Okay, what is a biological female? And whenever you ask them that question, they're like, okay, well, chromosomes. And then you're like, okay, is Ann Coulter a woman then? Yeah, she is a woman. Okay, high likelihood that I think, isn't she intersex? I think she is. I don't want to fucking... Or didn't she have a chromosome thing? Am I crazy? I mean, Ben definitely doesn't know. Ben definitely doesn't know what a woman is anyway. But a chatter actually correctly pointed this out. Saying that you're a biological female already gives the game away. You're talking outliers that represent 99.9% of the population. No, that's not true. It's not 99.9% of the population. Okay? And it doesn't matter. You can't just say something is an outlier and then act like that's not, act like that is a biological reality. Act like that's outside of the scope of biological reality. They can't parse gender and sex, so Ben's argument is dumb just from the assumption. Yeah, I mean, if gender was not socially learned, okay? If gender was not socially learned, and it wasn't like super if gender wasn't social, then you wouldn't have to separate it and say biological gender, biological sex. Jewish people represent a small portion of society, but you wouldn't say they're not significant. Exactly. Also, I think, wait, isn't that actually the same number? The number of intersex people on this planet is more than the number of Jewish people. The number of intersex people on this planet are more than the number of the number of redheads. If we're going to talk about like biological, okay? More women than expected are genetically men. Sex chromosomes usually determine whether you're female or male. Women are XX, men are XY. However, genetically, a few women are actually men. They grow up as women with a woman's body and mostly only discover well into puberty that they are different. Danish researchers map the first time how many women are genetically men. The proportion was higher than expected. The intersex estimate is 1.7%. Jewish people make up 0.2% of the population on the planet. Also, as far as gender goes, that's an expression. You want to know why? Don't make me play the game again where I'm going to pull up fucking Buck and numerous other trans people to be like, is this a man? Is this a woman? And then you go, oh, that's a man. Oh, guess what? That's a trans man. That kind of thing. Okay? The reason why you would lose that game if we were to do that. Let's not with the trans medical is though. I know. It's just to open the door up. It's just to open the door, okay? It's to open the conversation.